Well, hopefully we will. Maybe we can. Yeah, it's 4:30. Okay. Are we good? Okay. Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the architecture session. I think it's, I'm glad you guys have all turned up. Thought you'd all be in some gaming session or so, but it's good to see people walking in, so thank you again this afternoon. I'm not going to take that too long. My name's Sanjay Mistry. I'm Vice President at VIMtrek. And I just want to give you a short overview of what we're doing at VIMtrek to help the partnership and also for architects, designers, engineers, and the construction industry and the wider vertical market to use gaming engines, to use Unity as a visualization platform. Okay. I've also got Alan here from Gensler, and Alan's going to talk about their use cases and how they're actually implementing Unity in their current workflow, and how they're using VR, AR, and also other tool sets that enable them, that Unity enables them to develop as well. So just on that, Unity and VIMtrek formed a partnership just over 12 months ago. The partnership was formed on the basis of the fact that the founder of VIMtrek is actually one of the core founders of Revit. Now, how many of you are actually from the architecture visualization industry? Okay, a good few of you. How many of you have heard of a tool set called Revit? More of you. Excellent. Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. So Revit is a parametric modeler. It's probably got 80% of the market share out there. It's now owned by Autodesk. And that tool set to bring into a game engine like Unity can be quite challenging at the best of times. VIMtrek's developed some tools that will enable the Revit file, Sketchup files, and others to come into Unity in a heartbeat, basically. So we're creating some interop tools that will enable you to go directly into Unity. And our partnership between Unity and VIMtrek is not just about being a technology solution partner, but also a distribution partner as well. So we're managing the client side, first line support, and helping you to embrace and actually adopt Unity from that side as a visualization, interactive visualization tool for both desktop and for VR as well. And game engines and VR are coming into a revolution of themselves within the AEC space. Architects, contractors, engineers, they're all convinced that this is going to happen. And leading firms out there today are actually using Unity as a visualization platform and using VIMtrek as the bridge to help them get over those hurdles and also cross, remove some of those barriers to entry into the game engine itself. So we ran a survey about 18 months ago or so, and this was a white paper that we developed and published as well. And within that white paper, it was basically that it came above that within the next 10 years, game engines are going to change the way we work. Okay, and Unity is going to change the way we work as well and Alan's going to kind of talk a little bit more in depth about this on how we as designers are probably going to move away from our generic tools and how those generic tools will also have an element of game engine-esque in them as well. And as you can see, game engines moving away from GPU rendering as well. So being able to use Unity for visualization, 75% of the market right now are saying that it's going to impact their workforce in today's as it is today, and it will do in the near future as well. Here's just a short survey that was created. A friend of ours, Jeff Mott, runs a community group, an AEC community group called CG Architect. And you can see how HMDs and VR and AR is being implemented and also being used by the AEC market. So this is just a small snapshot of how Unity is being the leader in the AEC space, and one of the thought leaders in kind of taking away the pain of taking CAD data into a real-time environment and bringing on-demand virtual reality and visualization to the artists within the non-gaming spaces. Okay, So at this point, I'd like to introduce my friend Alan Ruggles from Gensler. And Alan's going to talk to you about how Gensler are using Unity and what they're doing with Unity at their firm. Over to Alan. Thank you.
Thank you. So it's on. Good. Good afternoon. So a little bit of background on Gensler. I'm an experienced designer there. I have been with Gensler for almost 10 years. And when people ask me, what does an experienced designer do? I say, where architects design the place, I design what happens in that place. And so traditionally, it's been really hard to develop the tools to communicate what an experience might be. You've had to go into these really deep narratives. You'd have to do all of this extra work. So before I get deep into experience design, Gensler, if you don't know who we are, we're founded in 1965 by Art Gensler. We've got 46 offices, 9 regions around the world. Our growth has been organic. We just go where our clients are asking us to go. We don't say we're going to open an office here and make it happen. We're actually drawn to those places. And so what you see is an expression of organic growth for us. It does make us the largest architecture design firm in the world. And having a footprint that big makes it really hard to communicate across offices and keep that communication organic and constant and aware. So we have leaders around the firm that are specifically focused on these new emerging technologies and making sure that every office has access to them all and that every office is on the same kind of even playing field and has all of the same advantages. We have a lot of tools at our disposal, and we've talked about Revit already, but Sketchup is a big tool for us in the beginning, and we do a lot of modeling in Max and Rhino and a lot of other programs, even FormZ for some of you who know what FormZ is, and we do a lot of rendering. We use a lot of different platforms. This is to show that our ecosystem for software is broad, because when you're talking about creativity, you can't force people to use one program. You got to let them use what it is that enables them to be the most effective. And so this software ecosystem is supported by a roadmap. And this roadmap is kind of a slightly partial. It's just hitting the high points of all of the applications we use, but also how we use those applications and how we support those applications with things like procedurally generated materials and distributed rendering, and how those our traditional tools go into our new translation tools and into how those new translation tools have an output to hardware, and from that hardware what we're able to deliver as new deliverables for our clients. And some of these are deliverables that are standalone, like we're getting paid to do this thing at the end, but a lot of these deliverables are process deliverables, and there's a difference between the two. It's between what we use to develop and design a space and what we deliver at the end. All of this is to say that we work in 3D, right? We model in 3D. Everything that we do is in 3 dimensions in screen space. But when it comes to communicating what we've designed, it always comes down to showing it on some kind of 16:9, flat thing. It'll be a board, or it'll be a rendering on a piece of paper, or it'll be a rendering on a screen or a mobile device. It's all delivered in 2 dimensions. And we still primarily communicate all of our documentation in that manner. Or we build these really elaborate models, right? So that we can bring them into a presentation and we can say to the client, okay, now imagine that you're standing right here, right? So you got this guy who's probably worth several millions of dollars, and he's hiding behind, he's looking and he's trying to gain that. That all changed a couple of years ago when we were able to just take a device and then take a really simple spherical rendering and then actually put them in that space and allow them to look around and accomplish way more than we could have with this model that we would traditionally drop on their desk, and give them way more understanding. And this, when we started doing this, we're using other people's devices, and we're using other people's viewing apps, and we're doing all of these things with third-party products, and we said, well, if we're really going to get invested in this, we need to create our own platform. And so with Unity, we created our own platform. We created Gensler VR. So Gensler VR is an app that we get to publish to any platform. You can go to the App Store or to the Google Play Store now, and you can search for Gensler VR, and you can download the app. The app that you can download is the demo version of it. We generate an app for every project that requires it, and that app becomes part of that project's story. And within that, all we're doing is we're taking these, renderings of spaces that are the concept at whatever stage they are, creating hotspots, letting you gaze around those hotspots and jump from location to location. These are renderings of our office in Los Angeles, and it looks pretty much exactly this way. But it allows us to say, hey, you haven't been to our office, or hey, you don't know what this tool is, download this app, put it in a viewer, or download this app and install it on your Gear VR, or download this app and run it on your PC, or whatever it is, from a single kind of asset to all of these different platforms. And it allows us to use VR as a means of developing and maintaining the quality of a project throughout its life cycle. So from concept development, this app is generated specific to the project. All of the assets are on the cloud, and the concept pitch is in there. And we bring it to the pitch meeting, and we say, here, take a look at this space, take a look at this space, take a look at this concept proposal. To design development, where they agree on the pitch, but now we have to further develop it into something that can be built. And so that model transitions into something that's closer to reality. And as that happens, those renderings in the cloud are being updated, and the client remotely doesn't even have to come in for a meeting, can look at them, can provide feedback, can tell us what they want to change. And it goes through the whole project. In contract documentation, it's referenced for design intent. In construction administration, where you're actually building the things, it's quality assurance and quality control for the people on the site to be able to say, hey, there's a question about this thing that's supposed to happen in this place. They can load up the rendering for that space, and they can verify against what the intent was. And then beyond that, our clients take that app and say, hey, would you guys like to rent at this new building that we built, and check it out how beautiful it is. So we've created a whole kind of parallel VR version of VR product for us, for our design process. And it's been great. And what's best about it is that it's our own platform. We're not buying into a third party. We developed it ourselves. We continue to develop it ourselves. We're adding video. We're adding sound annotation. We control the versions, and we can add stuff that we haven't thought of yet. I think this is pretty self-explanatory. This goes towards what experience is. So I talked about the app, and that's one thing. But the beautiful thing about the way we use game engines is that there's no single way to use them. I mean, game engines are imagination engines for us, for everybody. And so, we take, these things that we design in Revit, and we translate those with VIMtrek into Unity. We have a base model directly in from Sketchup or from Revit. We texture it, we background it, we add all of the effects, and we start to get to a place where we can put our clients into photorealistic environments. But to put our clients in those photorealistic environments, there's a lot of process that needs to happen. Currently, you got to set up rooms, and you got to test, and you got people risking their lives standing on furniture they shouldn't have to. And in the end, what happens is you're handing somebody a couple of controllers, and you put a headset on them, and you're wiring them up. And the reality is that our clients, they're not the kind of people that are really bothered with all of these, trappings, right? Their trappings are slightly different. So if you've ever tried to convince a client to put on a rig in a wired room amongst a bunch of people, it's really hard. It's the biggest obstacle, it's the biggest hurdle for us right now, is the technology. It's great once you put it on, but getting to the point where it's on and getting around all of the You know, all of the compromises that you have to engage in to get to VR is really hard. And so another of the things that we're pursuing is HoloLens, MR, sorry. So with MR, we're not taking people out of their context. We're not wiring them up. We're not asking them to do unreasonable things in their eyes. We just say, here, put this thing on. By the way, you know, it's got content on it. You're going to see things. The field of view is a little limited right now. But as long as you're looking through the lenses like you would through glasses, you're going to see some stuff. Now, we're working with Trimble. Trimble are the makers of Sketchup. And Trimble is developing apps, you know, that actually, you know, that interact with the environment, true mixed reality, where, you know, you can do some pretty interesting things. You know, gauges give you their information by just looking at them and tell you about, you know, when they need to be serviced again or what they're due. And you're allowed to, you know, and you get to do these things where information is interacting with you and your environment. For us, as architects, it's a little different because what we're pursuing is, we're pursuing showing our clients what it is we're designing for them before it's there. And we're leveraging context. And we're doing this with Trimble's SketchUp suite for HoloLens that is all built in Unity. The app is still in alpha right now, I believe, and when you launch it, it still says made with Unity. But you know, this footage was captured through HoloLens, and this is actually a raw space where we are, you know, building a great room and connecting it with a bridge to another part of our office. And so this is a SketchUp model, and this SketchUp model is 1-to-1, and I'm standing in the construction site, and I've loaded it up, and I'm looking around, and I get to walk the entire thing. And the tracking is great, persistence is great. It's amazing. And when we put these things on our clients, they say, we don't want to do anything any different than this ever again. We want to make all of our reviews this way, because there's no question about, hey, I wonder what they meant by that detail, or I wonder what the resolution on that particular part of the project was. There's none of that. They just get to walk, they go there, and they tell you about it. And hopefully they don't trip on anything on the way there. Let's see here. So all of this is it's not the why as a question, but it's a why as a statement. Why? You know, and for us, it's a convergence, right? You know, I'm sure you guys heard about this earlier in the year where they took a bunch of 3D color scans of Rembrandt's work and they fed them into a program. And then this program proceeded to learn everything and then was asked to create an original work by Rembrandt and came up with this. This isn't just a raster image, a bitmapped image. This is a 3D color print that contains brush strokes, expression, topography, all of those things. So if a program can do this, what can it do with architecture? What can it do with design? As long as the things are knowns, what can AI do in the near future? Not so distant future, because it's already doing this. It's already writing news articles. It's already writing scripts. It's painting. It's going to drive. What if we were to load up the location of a design that's coming, the program, meaning what goes in it, the code requirements of it, the sustainability requirements of it, and the style? This is the NVIDIA campus that Gensler designed. This was not designed by an AI. But if you were able to get all of these knowns, put them together, and push them through a piece of software, it could come out with this, as long as you gave it a style. But those are all knowns. And the thing that game engines are allowing us to do is to address and access and evolve out of the unknowns. What is not just the process of designing, but what is the way that these technologies are going to impact space in the future? What are our offices going to look like? What are our houses going to look like? What are spaces going to look like when the displays that we access, the information, the communication that we access is in some sort of small form factor, eyepiece? Not that Google thing with one lens. Our edge as creators, as architects, as designers, is in those questions that are not knowns. It's in answering the problems or addressing the opportunities that haven't been identified yet. So for us here, for instance, this is looking down on a city, and this is all of the different programmatic elements of a city, right? Business, living, dining, retail, all of those things. We looked at those and we said, well, how can we change this into kind of a new urban context? And what we did is we took all of those and we turned them on their sides, and we built this really cool tower in Shanghai. Currently, it's the second tallest building in the world. It's the tallest occupiable space in the world. And it is a beautiful, beautiful building. It is a vertical city. It is self-contained. It can power itself. It can put power back into the grid. It's got wind turbines and photovoltaics. It's a beautiful piece of architecture, right? But it was an answer to a problem the question that hadn't been asked, and that's where game engines are allowing us as a firm to create a roadmap to survivability as AI becomes a greater and greater part of our existence. It's already there in big ways. It's going to be there in bigger ways. So how do we guarantee that we don't get worked out into obsolescence? And the only way we can is to continue to adapt, is to continue to change, pivot, not do a 180, but just kind of slightly adjust our direction and continue to evolve. Thanks.
So as you can see, game engines are helping, the AEC market, and you can see how Gensler has been using Unity in specific on, developing their own tools, developing their own apps, but also going beyond that reach as well. Our role, and I want to just thank Alan for being able to present this to us, because a lot of the information here is, things that they don't generally share, and, being at Unite, I think it's great that he's able to share this information with such a great community as well, because, this community can really help the AEC industry. You're so well trained, and you understand the games engine itself. You understand Unity, and companies like Gensler are pushing the forefront of visualization and VR and AR and mixed reality, and who knows where this could go. So from that perspective, for what we're doing with Unity and VIMtrek's partnership, we're trying to simplify that workflow, bridging the gaps, bridging the ability for architects, designers, for CAD models to go into Unity much faster, streamline those, and enable those to become a lot more efficient as well, okay, in many ways. Enabling the BIM files going into Vim and going into a number of different areas, from that side into the mixed reality domain. So on that note, I'd like to thank you for your time and for attending. We are open for some questions, if that's okay. I don't know if that's allowed or not, but I'm sure there are a few. And I'd like to thank my friend Alan again as well. So thank you all. If you have any questions, please just shout them out, I think. I don't know if there's microphones or anything along those lines. Yes?
When you use VIMtrek, so I'm sort of familiar with it. Do you get access to the Unity project once it goes through?
You can, yes. So basically, we'll ingest a Revit file or a Sketchup file or any CAD data. You can then select your output from there, and that one of those outputs is a Unity asset.
When you work in Sketchup and pass through Unity, the materials, you put it in Unity or from Sketchup with materials?
Okay, are you talking to me or Alan?
No, you.
Oh, both me? Okay. Basically, if you put the materials in SketchUp, then they will come through our tessellation tools, and they will manage all of the tessellation, the textures, materials, lights, and bring them in. So you don't have to do anything in a said product, which I don't want to mention. Everyone generally goes through that pain of, creating the Revit file or SketchUp file or whatever that might be, CAD data, through an FBX format into a third-party application, FBX export out, and then straight in. We've developed the tool set that will go directly from Revit or SketchUp or whatever it might be, directly into Unity. But in the middle of that, we've bridged a viewing device that with VIMtrek, basically the Vim viewer will basically allow you to take that data in and visualize that before you can go into Unity to make sure everything is okay as well. And that file you can share with your clients, and you can also use that as a collaboration tool as well. Yeah? Yeah, we've written some very comprehensive tessellation tools and optimization tools. So we can actually take 2 or 3 gigabytes. Our whole thing is with VIMtrek is that we can actually produce and develop and work with real world data, right? So we can take a full model of 2.5, 3 gigabytes with linked files and family data and everything else. So architectural, structural, MEP, and all your BIM assets, and convert everything. Yeah, and we can bring it all into Unity as well.
For Alan, actually, do you ever, your experiences, do you ever consider effects like rain or snow?
Rain or snow?
Yes.
Weather effects within the experience?
Showing to clients, like if your space is designed for showing off, or if there's this particular precedence or view that showcases design.
I don't have a precedent for it yet. It's something that we could do. It's just we just haven't had that opportunity yet. But it's a really good point to make, is that game engines are allowing us to propose things that traditionally we would have been challenged to communicate, right? So that if we were talking about a snow experience or a rain experience, that we could put the headset on the client's representative, and they could really have a one-to-one understanding of what it is we are proposing, right? A lot of times we shy away from things that we think are really cool because it's so hard to communicate them, and game engines are pushing that boundary in a significant way. Yep.
I worked with an architecture skills before, and they tried to put the whole Revit model into Unity, and they were trying to make a walkthrough, so they would wrap every single door, every single wall around a collision mesh. And have you guys thought about making colliders as part of the exporter?
Yep, you should try the tools. You'll find that actually they're really simple, and we've taken care of all of that for you. Okay. Yes, sir.
So do you have the capability? Okay, I'm just getting started in this area.
That's okay.
I'm working with a colleague at my company that is really experienced with 3D Max and doing the traditional type of video flythroughs and things like that. By the way, we're not an architectural firm. This is kind of tangential to us. But one of the things I found about him, because he doesn't approach things from a game-ready standpoint, but he's doing a scene.
Yep.
And he has a tendency, if he's got, for example, an office chair, he'll just cut, paste, because he's using from the office machine, office furniture companies, he's getting these pre-made assets and stuff. Is your tooling smart enough when that exports out of 3D Max and is ready to come into Unity? Is it smart enough to recognize that he used the same thing 55 times, give me a prefab? Because what I really want to do is take his 3ds scene and extract the desks, and I want to extract walls and windows and things, and then I want to be able to rearrange those in Unity to do things like dynamic animations of the client to see the changes that they're going to see in their environment happening as animated changes, that kind of thing. And he's pretty old school, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but he's got 35 years of experience in architecture, but has never touched a game engine in his life. Can your tooling help to bridge? We've got sort of a communication gap where, and I am just as incapable of
we can help you solve that problem. Yeah, we can instance those objects and reference those as we go through our optimization tools from exactly that point. Yes, and then in regards to how Unity is helping the AEC kind of industry and also designers and so forth, it's helping them break new ground on exactly what you're talking about. Is, you can create those elements any way you want, but once you're in Unity, you want to reposition those and reshape them and redevelop them and so forth. And yes, absolutely, you're able to do all of that inside of inside of Unity, using tool sets that we've developed at VIMtrek, and more so with what you're able to do with the power of Unity itself as well. Yeah, we're downstairs. Yeah, we're in the exhibit hall, so yeah, come on over.
All right. Oh, I think we're red lighted.
I think we're red light. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you. Thanks.